The alarm system screamed through Research Station Kepler 7 at 0347 hours, dragging Commander Vosh from his sleep pod with a jolt of adrenaline that made his scales bristle. The holographic display materialized before his eyes, painting the air with crimson warnings that pulsed in time with his racing heart. Alert. Predator-prey proximity breach. Location: Xenobiology Lab 3 threat level. Critical. Vosh's clawed fingers flew across the emergency panel. Pulling up the live feed from the lab, what he saw made his blood run cold, not from horror but from sheer impossibility. Dr. Mara Lin, the human xenobiologist who had arrived 6 months ago, sat cross-legged on the laboratory floor. Her back rested against the transparent enclosure wall, her eyes closed, her breathing slow and rhythmic. This alone wouldn't have triggered the alarms, but curled against her lap, chest rising and falling in peaceful slumber, was Tarek. Cub Tarek, to be precise, though at 8 months old and massing nearly 40 kilograms. Cub felt like a dangerously inadequate descriptor. The young Kashvar predator's obsidian scales gleamed under the lab's dim emergency lighting. His retractable claws, each capable of shearing through reinforced steel, rested gently against the fabric of Dr. Lin's lab coat. The rows of serrated teeth that lined his elongated jaw were visible in his slight open-mouthed sleep, close enough to her femoral artery to end her life in seconds. Every biological scanner in the facility was registering the same impossible data: a predator at rest with its prey. Someone explain this to me. Vosh growled into his communicator as he sprinted down the corridor, his security team's footsteps echoing behind him. Now, Dr. Yanara, the Quellan medical officer, responded first, her voice tight with confusion. Commander, the biometrics don't make sense. The cub's stress hormones are at baseline. No hunting response. No aggression markers. It's as if he doesn't recognize her as prey, finished Dr. Torvin, the station's lead xenopsychologist, which is taxonomically impossible. Humans register on every predator's threat assessment matrix as optimal prey targets: soft exterior, no natural weapons, relatively slow, high caloric value. I don't need a lecture on human vulnerability, Vosh snapped, his eyes fixed on the security feed as he ran. Dr. Lin hadn't moved. Neither had Tarek. I need to know why my station's most dangerous specimen is cuddling with a member of my crew instead of eating her. The security team reached the lab entrance. Vosh held up a hand, stopping them from breaching the door. Through the reinforced observation window, he could see the scene more clearly now. 2 other cubs, Tarek's siblings from the same clutch, dozed in a pile near Dr. Lin's feet. One had its tail draped across her ankle. Sir, we need to extract her, Lieutenant Kess urged, his weapon trained on the viewport. Now, while they're still asleep. But Vosh found himself hesitating. He'd commanded research stations for 23 years, had witnessed countless species interactions, but something about this scene struck him as fundamentally significant. Not a malfunction of nature, but a revelation. Dr. Lin, he spoke into the intercom, his voice barely above a whisper. Can you hear me? The human's eyes opened slowly. She didn't startle, didn't gasp. She simply looked up at the camera with a calm that bordered on serene. Good morning, Commander, she said quietly. I assume the sensors woke everyone? Every alarm on the station thinks you're about to be devoured. A small smile touched her lips. The sensors are designed to recognize predator-prey dynamics as they exist in almost every known species, she said, her hand moving slowly to rest on Tarek's scales. The cub's breathing deepened, but he didn't wake. They weren't programmed to recognize this. Recognize what? Trust, Dr. Lin said simply. Mutual reciprocal trust. Humans spent thousands of years turning wolves into dogs, Commander. We didn't do it through dominance or force. We did it through something the universe seems to have forgotten was possible between predator and prey. Vosh watched as Tarek's eyes fluttered open. The cub's massive head lifted, those lethal jaws opening in what the sensors would register as an attack posture. But instead of lunging for Dr. Lin's throat, Tarek yawned, a deep, rumbling sound that resonated through the lab, and then nudged his snout against her shoulder before settling back down. We chose each other, Dr. Lin continued, her fingers scratching gently behind the ridge of Tarek's auditory organs. I showed him that not all potential prey sees him as a threat to be feared or destroyed. And he showed me that not all predators are slaves to their instincts. Dr. Torvin's voice crackled through Vosh's earpiece. Commander, I'm analyzing the hormonal data. She's right. This isn't submission or dominance, it's something else entirely. The cub is producing bonding markers similar to pack formation, but directed at an entirely different species, at something that should be food. Humans have a word for this, Dr. Lin said, looking directly at the camera. We call it friendship, and apparently we're quite good at extending it to beings who were never supposed to reciprocate. Vosh stared at the scene before him. A fragile human who should have been dead 100 times over, protected by creatures who should have seen her as nothing more than meat. He thought of all the species in the galaxy who viewed humans as weak, as easy prey, as destined to be subjugated or eliminated. They were all making the same mistake the sensors made. Stand down, Vosh ordered his security team. He deactivated the alarm system manually, watching the crimson warnings fade to amber, then green. Adjust all xenobiological protocols. Dr. Lin's methods are now standard procedure for predator interaction studies. As the sun began to rise over Kepler-7, casting golden light through the laboratory windows, Vosh watched Tarek stretch lazily before curling tighter against Dr. Lin's side. The other cubs climbed into her lap, seeking warmth and comfort from a being their instincts should have screamed to hunt. Humanity, Vosh realized, didn't survive the galaxy by being the strongest or the fastest or the most fearsome. They survived by making friends with the things that were supposed to eat them, and that, he suspected, made them the most dangerous species of all.